Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump Podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
Peter, how are you doing with the heat?
Oh, well, I'm okay. It's nice to sit out in, but I've just been that busy this week that I've maybe had like 20 minutes at lunchtime sitting in the garden. But other than that, like even in the evenings, I've just been sort of doing extra bits and bobs of work, even though I should... Oh, it's so easy to do that, isn't it, when you're working from home? You should just clock off at whatever your time is, but I don't. How about you?
Well, I went for a run in it yesterday and I nearly died. So that was good. I think it was 28 degrees yesterday here.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting, to be honest, and shouldn't be legal, and the sun should be thrown in jail.
Yeah, as pasty, fair, blonde boys, that is definitely the truth.
You can speak for yourself. I'm a bronzed god up in here.
Oh, goodness me. Look at that 12-pack.
Oh, yes. Yeah, would you like one?
Oh, yeah, delicious.
Crack a cold one with the boys, am I right?
Yeah.
We're sponsored, Peter, by a very real sponsor who, gives us money and stuff. That's how I think that's how sponsors work. And in exchange, we have to read their ad read, and it's my turn to do one. And I've just realised I haven't got one here.
Right.
So I'm going to look around the room for inspiration because I totally forgot that was something I needed to do. How about introducing? Here we go. You ready?
When you say look around the room for inspiration, do you mean look around the room for the ad read that's on a piece of paper that was faxed to you earlier?
That's exactly
today?
What I mean. Yeah, it came through fax. Yeah. Introducing a new DLC for the original Dark Souls. Wow.
Oh.
In 2020, they're still releasing DLC. Do you want to know what it is?
I certainly do.
It lets you play as a naked person.
Oh.
Like completely naked. Not just loincloth, right? And the name of this DLC is Stark Souls.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's really good, wasn't it?
It was, especially given
really
the time, the limited time you had in which to receive that fax.
I know, it says a lot about where my mind immediately went as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It does say that. But unfortunately, that's not true. It's a lie! You idiots!
Oh.
You flipping idiots! Always! You fall for it! You're so stupid. You're so stupid. Apart from those of you who support us financially over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, because you are the real sponsors. Yes, you are. You give us money and you're amazing. And for as little as $1 per month, you get access to the podcast post every week where we ask for questions and then we pick questions and we put them here. And one such person who I actually don't want you to name just yet because I realize we haven't said where we're walking in the video version is
what you don't want me to name them just yet, but
no, that's yours to unpick, that mess of words.
Is a mad scientist's laboratory.
Fantastic.
Is where we're going to be walking.
Wow, we've been here for several minutes already. Look around, isn't it nice?
Yeah, it's great, fantastic.
Is
Brian Cahill? Carhill?
Yay! We did it.
Something like that.
Amazing.
Brian says, "Hi, Ben and Peter," or Peter and Ben if you want to get serious about this. "I'm really excited for the new Crash game on PS4, but can't help thinking it's a shame that it's not a launch title for the PS5. With the new generation of consoles coming out soon, are you less likely to want to pick up new releases on the older consoles?" And then it says Slan Argus Benacht, which I'm told we've got right, but it can't be, there's no way we've got that right.
I don't know. That's why I always let you read Brian's questions whenever he's on.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Well,
thank you.
I'm excited for the new Crash game, for sure. At time of recording, or maybe I should say at time of release, a couple of days ago we released a list on some of the little hidden secret tidbits in the background of the trailer and gameplay that have now been released. So go check that out. But Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So we know that it's going to be on PS4. I think that much is confirmed. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they also released a PS5 version, but also if it's backwards compatible, so I can just play my PS4 copy either physically or digitally on PS5, then I don't think it matters so much. But in a broader sense, I think you do raise a good point. Any games that are coming out now that might not be featuring on PS5 or are as yet unconfirmed, you might be a little bit concerned about buying something like that if you think, oh, well, how long am I going to have this console? Do I really want to invest in a new game? Or on the other hand, maybe you will think, oh, well, they'll be bringing out a PS5 version, I'm sure, so I'll hang fire. I'm not going to buy something in the first few weeks or months. So yeah, it is an interesting. It's the sort of liminal period, isn't it? The transition period.
Yeah, it is, and it joins a whole host of games that are kind of sitting in that fun little zone where you do ask, should I wait? Should I wait? Games like Star Wars Squadrons, Marvel's Avengers, Tony Hawk's, Cyberpunk has now been pushed into November, which you've got to imagine is right next to the console launch.
Surely.
And some of these games have already clarified that, hey, you get this on PS4, you get a free PS5 version, or you get this on PS4, you get like an up-resed version or something for PS5. So, especially with the likes of Crash, I'm sure we'll hear more the closer we get. As you say, I would be extremely surprised if they don't also release a PS5 version. But then there's the whole backwards compatible thing, and it's like, is it going to be backwards compatible? What's the real difference going to be? They may just want to, from a business perspective, offer a PS5 version as well, just so people who didn't get it on PS4 can get it on PS5. But then with a game like that, how much better is it going to look in native PS5 form, really, apart from perhaps faster loading times? So it's a tricky one, really. At the end of the day, they may not offer a free upgraded or sort of up-resed version, as at least as far as PlayStation have said on their end, that it's up to the publisher whether or not they do that with their game. It's not up to Sony.
Yeah,
they're not demanding that they do it. But at the very least, I would imagine that you'll be able to, or at least they'll let you buy it again on PS5, which is very, very generous of them to do that for you. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see in the next few months how this sort of all falls into place. Do you just get it on PS4 and play it emulated on your PS5, or what do you do? What do you do? Because I think Xbox has got a completely different approach, haven't they? They're just you can just get it on Xbox.
And it just sort of works on everything.
Yeah,
I think is the idea. They're going for this kind of, you just buy it on sort of broadly on Microsoft, and then it works on various devices, I think is their new business plan. Yeah. You raise a good point about Cyberpunk as well. Like, if that comes, so that's been pushed to November. If that comes out any time prior to the PS5 on the PS4 version, that's going to be really silly, because there will be a lot of people who, certainly for a game like that, will be saying, well, we're so close to PS5, I'm going to wait. But it means they then have to sit for, who knows how long, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, while the game is already out on what is currently current gen, while they wait a couple of weeks for next gen to come out. I'd like to think at this point, if they're going to release it in November, they'll basically just do it on launch day of PS5. But that will be interesting to see how they time that, because it could be a bit weirdly staggered and strange.
It's I think that's the one that's closest, or at least the biggest game that's closest to holiday 2020 that we have. So pending consoles not being delayed, that stands to be an interesting one to watch about how they play that all out. But I think they are one of the ones that have said, hey, you buy our game, get a nice shiny version, it's all good, don't worry about it. So you may still only end up buying it once, but we'll see. Do you want to talk generally about how you feel about this new Crash game as well?
Yeah, I may as well just for a couple of minutes. I think at first when I watched it, the trailer, I thought, okay, this looks fine, but it did just, because of the nature of the game, it reminded me a little bit of just all the stuff that came post Naughty Dog, which doesn't have very many positive connotations. The fact that they've like redesigned the characters to an extent, they've introduced some new masks, which I think Wrath of Cortex did with the Elementals or something like that. And there's like new abilities and stuff. I was like, how do I feel about this? And then I slept on it, and in the morning I thought, I'm really excited about this. I think like the new art style's great. I think it puts Insane Trilogy to shame, even though there was nothing obviously wrong with Insane Trilogy to start with. I think if you do side by sides now, you know, Insane Trilogy had some really weird shading issues where like Crash would get shadows on his eyeballs in like certain lighting, and you know he had this like semi-realistic fur and like water in the levels when it, you know, compared to the Spyro trilogy, that's all sort of painterly and you've got cartoony waterfalls and stuff. So yeah, I think the new almost hand-drawn looking style of Crash 4 looks great. And you know, I also think they've not gone overboard so far on new abilities, new characters, you know. So yeah, for the most part, I think it looks like they've done what they need to do, which is innovate and keep things fresh, but not deviate too far. They've not gone open world, which is the one thing I was really worried about. Right, so yeah. It's still side-scrolling / corridor-based levels. So yeah, that works for me.
Fantastic. Well, I hope for your sake that it's really good.
Thanks, me too.
We'll see. We'll see how they mess it up. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's find out. Yeah. Are you looking forward to all those pre-order skins?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was something, wasn't it? There are skins in it now, which is definitely worrying. But, you know, I don't have to buy those at least. So, no. But they shouldn't do it. But anyway, whatever.
Whatever.
We don't know if there are any purchasable ones. At the moment, it's just pre-order skins. But the fact that skins even exist, I'm sure, will mean that more will be available eventually. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Activision. Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
Peter, it's time to move on.
It is.
To a section that has never been done before on podcasts or anywhere else.
Yes.
It's called Whoop.
Whoop.
Whoop. It's time for What We Playin. Peter, what have you been playing?
Well, on the subject of PlayStation 1 era mascot platformers, I've just started a Spyro the Dragon run on my streams, and we're playing. I'm emulating it on the PS1 emulator, so we're playing the old version rather than Reignited, which is fun. It's been very nice, just chatting fan theories. You can get pretty deep on Spyro if you really want to delve.
The Spyro lore runs deep.
Very complex. It's a bit like Dark Souls. You know?
No, absolutely. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So that's certainly been fun. It's nice just to like see the old visuals and hear the old soundtrack. Not that I've ever played Reignited with the new soundtrack turned on because I don't like it, but yeah, that's been fun. But outside of that, I've not played that much this week. I did do a little bit more Mince Raft, but I actually ended up having to kind of do the same thing that we'd done on our previous stream. So that wasn't very fun. I was just running around the Nether looking for a Nether fortress.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's been my week in gaming. Like I say, I've been a busy boy this week with editing and stuff. So yeah, but that's it. What about you?
Well, I've only been playing one game.
Yeah.
And I have been spending much time on it.
Yeah.
Or at least I've been trying to fit it in around other stuff. I feel like I only have a moment every hour or an hour every night, I should say, to just sort of fit in a little bit of it. Which is really frustrating because all my friends have finished it. And I really want to talk to them about it. And it's hard as well existing on the internet and avoiding spoilers. Of course, I'm talking about The Last of Us Part 2. I will say that this game is incredible, and I think it is one of the best games I've ever played, and Naughty Dog just keep outdoing themselves. really. Like, they have no equal when it comes to narrative-driven games like this. And the scale of this game is unprecedented. I'm 20 hours in, and it's still going. And for a game that's not an open-world game or semi-open world, that is hugely impressive. That's a lot of story. That's a lot of game. This is their true magnum opus vision. It's phenomenal. And so I would urge everybody who is remotely interested in this game to either play it as soon as possible or to experience it somehow, whether that be watching a playthrough on YouTube or something like that, because this game is brilliant. And as we've discussed before, there's a lot of nasty trolls out there at the moment trying to actively ruin it for people. It makes me very sad because this game is amazing. Like, it's so good. And a lot of impressionable people on the internet are getting swept up in sort of this false narrative that's being created by the trolls. So much so, in fact, and I know they didn't mean it this way, but we got a question from someone this week just asking us if we have ever experienced a game before where there was such a disparity between critical consensus and fan consensus. And they were talking about The Last of Us, and that's not true at all. If you ask anyone who's actually played this game what they think of it, 99%, I would say, roughly, agree fully with the critics. This game is unbelievably good, but there is just this core group of really whiny children who completely lost their sort of, not their right to complain, they can complain if they want, but they lost all ground that they had to stand on when they started criticizing things like the fact that Ellie's a woman or that she's gay. And a lot of people are basing their frustrations on spoilers, which again is stupid. There's a fan petition at the moment to change the story, things like that. It's just, not only is it pathetic, but it's also really sad because people like the question asker will see that stuff if they don't know much about the game and just think, oh, it's rubbish then. But that is so not true. This game will be in Game of the Year conversations. Its critical consensus is absolutely justified. It's so good.
Like, it's not a question of critics versus players. It's a case of within the non-critic sphere, it's players versus non-players, sort of whiny non-players. Almost everyone who has played this is saying it's wonderful. So it's nothing to do with the players versus the critics. It's within the non-critical sphere that there's a divide between people who just hate it because it's got a lesbian in it, Yeah,
and there's other stuff they hate as well. That spoiler that we saw, a lot of people are basing their angst and hatred over that, but that is so pivotal to the whole game that it makes sense, and people just aren't experiencing it or playing it or understanding it with context, and they're just choosing to go. It's just people being outraged for no reason. And again, there's a very good chance these people have not touched this game, and so they should not be listened to or paid any mind. And I wish that we could do that, but they're going around and spoiling it for people as well, these same people. So when you see fan backlash, it's not fan backlash, it's troll backlash. Fans love this game. Critics love this game. If you want to experience or play a game that is truly pushing the medium forward in a lot of ways, it has no equal. This game is so important, and so many people should play it, or as I said, experience it. You can not like it, that's okay, but play it. At least play it. Don't hate it because of stuff you've heard. And so I just urge people who do see that kind of stuff, they see the review bombing on Metacritic and the fan petitions, to just check the sources and check with a grain of salt, because or sort of take it with a grain of salt. Because if you go and look at that petition, some of the comments are practically illiterate, and they're all complaining about the same stuff. It's just idiots. It's just idiots who don't know what they're doing. So please, understand that the critical reviews for The Last of Us 2 are completely justified. This game is unbelievably good. Like, it's so good. There is nothing like it. Please play it.
That's the thing. I'm really torn, because like you say, you need to... Anyone who wants to experience this and truly enjoy it needs to kind of get a wiggle on, because it's a ticking time bomb in terms of spoilers. And at the moment, I'm really not in a position to play it. I just don't have the setup right now. Unless I could maybe start like plugging monitors into my PS4 and stuff, but then I'm just rebuilding my workstation every day. But so I've been tempted to watch a nice sort of 4K commentary-free long play on YouTube. But at the same time, I want my first experience of it to be with controller in hand. So yeah, I'm watching the clock and counting down the days until I can play this myself.
It's tough.
So yeah,
it is hard. I would say though that you're probably in the clear now just going about your business on the internet, because these people only seem to be armed with one spoiler, and it's the one we've seen.
Right, yeah.
So you're probably all right. I'd still urge caution and for people to get on it as soon as possible. This is an unprecedented situation. I wouldn't usually harp on like this about people being entitled and trolls, but like this game is so good that it just makes me sad that not only are people seeing the actions of these loud few people and thinking that that is a reflection of the game, but also that the game is being dragged through the mud at all, because it's so good. And I won't talk about it again in this much detail about, you know, people being dicks on the internet about this game that's really good. But I just feel it's worth mentioning now, because it just makes me sad. Like it doesn't make me angry. It's just such a shame. And I hope that most people can see through the BS and know that this game, actually, it's really, really good. It's just there's some disgruntled idiots who dislike it for very silly, petty reasons. That you know, if they actually sat down and played it, they would see that it's, you know, that it's incredible. But yeah, The Last of Us Part 2. Really, really good. I'm hoping to finish it in the next few days, because existing on the internet has been something of a nightmare the last week while I've been trying to avoid all spoilers and things. So yeah, it's horrifying, it's dark, it's twisted, it's emotional. The performance capture is second to none. From a story perspective, God, it's just really good. It's just really good. And my thumbs really hurt too, because I'm playing it like an obsessive lunatic and like checking every corner for every scavengeable item. So I'm constantly, you know, really intensely twiddling both analog sticks to move around pieces of furniture and stuff, looking for button prompts. My thumbs always really hurt at the end of my time with it. So, you know, wear braces. There's a little hint for you. Bit of advice.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
There we are.
We'll move on to a question now. This is from Smiling Sumo. What does Smiling Sumo have to say, Ben?
Hey guys, I've started putting money aside for the PS5 so I can get it when it launches. But I've been thinking that these console wars are getting a bit old now. Do you think we'll see that decline in a few years and there won't be any rivalry like there is now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is one really now. I think that's already kind of gone. You know, there's competition from a business standpoint, given that, like, you know, some consumers can only buy one, they can only afford one of the major consoles, so they have to choose, and therefore it's in Sony's and Microsoft and maybe Nintendo's interests to try and make sure that their console's the most desirable, right? But that the choice is more of a financial, which one do I buy, which one suits me best, and that usually comes down, I think, to the exclusives, because from a technological standpoint, they're all, you know, pretty even. I mean, the Switch is not quite as powerful, but it's running a lot of the high-end games nowadays. But in terms of the old kind of snobbery or, you know, true rivalry that there used to be between, say, 360 and PS3, or, you know, PS2 and Xbox, I don't think that really exists anymore. It's not in my experience. You know, maybe there's still a bit of PC master race versus console, but yeah, I think it's kind of gone. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It doesn't seem to be anywhere near as venomous as it used to be, and that might be just because I try to remove myself from that arena of discussion now.
Yeah.
Because I, you know, like a lot of people, I very much used to get stuck into that in the late 2000s. But it was way worse in the 90s, you know, with Sega and Nintendo.
True,
and then in the late 2000s with PS3 and Xbox 360, everyone had the internet. So everyone was at each other's throats all the time. There's still, you know, there are still people like that which is their whole existence for some reason. You just look at the comments on any live chat and you'll see that for these streams, these game streams that have been going on. But everyone's entitled to their own console proclivities, and we have our reasons for going with PlayStation, and people have their reasons for going with Xbox, and that's all absolutely fine. But it will be interesting to sort of keep tabs on where things go, especially as Sony and Nintendo, who do seem to be running their own separate races, because Nintendo's just doing its own thing, and occasionally it gets ports of, the third-party games. They seem to be the only ones who are forging ahead in the traditional console space at the moment. Xbox is going to have a console, but they're increasingly moving into games as a service territory, sort of Xbox as a service rather than a box. So who knows if there's even going to be a console for you to sort of be that passionate about after too much longer. You may end up, in the next 5-10 years seeing Xbox as an app on PlayStation 6. Who knows? Who even knows? But certainly the rivalry between the two, I don't think it's really truly exists anymore, especially from a fan perspective. Kids will always get swept up in that kind of thing. You see that kind of stuff with The Last of Us Part 2 as well. I imagine most of them are children. But as adults, I don't really see that stuff anymore.
Yeah, like you say, I think on the part of the user or the consumer, there's maybe there was it happened once upon a time, but I think had already stopped by the time PS4 and Xbox One came around. But like you say, now going forward, it's not even like there will really be like for like hardware to even compare. Switch has already gone off on its own, and Xbox is likely to be doing the same in a completely different way. So I think it's already gone.
I am inclined to agree. Right, it's time, Peter. Have you got your device there?
I've got it now.
My device. It is time, everybody, for something strange. It's time for weird news. It's time for weird news. Peter, what are you going to weird me with today?
With a Kotaku.
Oh, no, you're not.
I certainly am. It's the deputy editor of Weird News at Kotaku, Alistair Jones.
Oh, great.
Who occasionally does stories that we read, but it's almost always that other guy. Whatever his name is. Hearthstone Pro claims Blizzard blacklisted him over his wife's tweets.
Okay.
A Hearthstone player and streamer claims to have been blacklisted from official events because of his wife's relationship with Blizzard. Jan Saviz Mikkonen, which I've definitely mispronounced, is married to a former Blizzard employee who was laid off alongside 800 others in February 2019. Last night, Christina Mikkonen stated on Twitter that Blizzard is currently blacklisting Saviz, I'm saying that wrong for sure, from events because she spoke out against the company and offended a community manager. Or because they've put square brackets in, but because Christina spoke out against the company. Mm-hmm. So in July 2019, Christina tweeted in response to a job advert shared on the social media platform by community manager Chris Atalis, in which she maligned working practices at Blizzard. Saviz says he was told he was a liability due to his relationship with Christina.
Wow.
He claims that Blizzard stated that he was refusing to sign a normal event NDA and that was the reason he was not being considered for events. But this was not the case. No NDA was ever brought up in conversations. Christina's ban from live events was never a company thing in the first place, and the employee who said this did not have the authority or power to enforce it. Early this morning, Saviz suggested the situation had been resolved, that he had received an apology from the community lead, and that both he and Christina are now allowed to attend events.
Wow.
Kotaku have reached out to Blizzard for more information, but I don't think there is any.
That's a bad look for that community manager. or whoever was making those decisions. That's some petty stuff there.
Yeah. So just because she was like, hey, it's not really a great place to work, and I was laid off last year, they banned both of them from attending events.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's not good.
No. Ben, can you weird me back, please?
Yeah, I'm going to... Hang on, let me whip out my tennis racket, and I'm going to volley some weird news back over. Here it comes.
Oh!
It's the world's longest tennis court. It's coming. Are you ready? It's on its way.
Yeah.
I did a really big hit.
Right.
It's coming.
It's partly because I'm so small, it seems like a longer distance.
Oh my god, it's going to crush you. Get out of the way.
That's how physics works. Whoa!
Oh, sorry. You may have seen that as it whizzed past. This is from Zach Sveissen over at Kotaku again. The home of Weird News.
Yes.
Luke Plunkett is the editor of Weird News, by the way. That's
the one.
You were thinking of. We need to talk to him at some point. We need to. I
don't know. Him on.
Yeah, I don't know that he's aware of us, but we need him to read one of his stories on an episode at some point.
He should choose one of the weirdest stories he's ever written and read it.
Yes, he should. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right, here we go. You can now play Lee Carvallo's putting challenge from The Simpsons.
Power drive.
Would you like to play Lee Carvallo's putting challenge? You have selected yes. Yesterday, former Simpsons writer and executive producer Bill Oakley shared on Twitter a free browser game built by Aaron Demeter that recreates the disappointing golf game from the episode Marge Be Not Proud. This is the game Bart gets at the end of the episode instead of Bone Storm. Demeter used some audio files from the episode to recreate the crappy game from that classic Simpsons episode. And yes, you can try to play the game correctly if you want to, or you can just hit the ball hard and into the parking lot. Oh. Would you like to read this post again? You have selected. No, there we go. So just doubling up on the same joke there. Thank you,
Zach. On the same joke.
And that's the whole story. You can play it. It's a browser game.
Oh, I wonder what happens if you do select Feather Touch as recommended.
Feather Touch. Well, that's,
touch.
You have to... He suggests you use a putter first, but if you're going to go with a 3-wood, then it's Feather Touch.
3-wood. Yeah. Pretty good.
I just watched the clip again. It's a good episode, that one.
It is, yeah. Bard, I can't believe you've done this. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's a good meme.
Sounds good. Let's describe memes.
Yeah, let's.
So there's this one with a dog, right?
Right.
And he's got a phone receiver held up to his face and snout.
Uh-huh.
Right? And he goes, hello. Yeah?
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
You picturing the whole dog?
Yeah. Does he say anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just making sure you see the dog in your brain. You see it?
I can see a dog holding a phone, yeah.
No, no, hang on. There's a hand. This is important. There's a hand holding the phone for the dog.
Right, I see.
Coming from off screen, right? And it says hello on the captions, and then it says, this is dog. It's good, isn't it? It's good. It's good. And sometimes it's animated as well. Like it's, I believe it's called a video.
Right.
And the dog like opens its mouth and stuff as if it's saying the human words, right?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anyway, that was weird news. Let's move on to a question, Peter.
Let's. This is from an actual Simpsons reference.
Black.
Mr. Black. There we go. Delivered in the best way by both of us. You got double the shout outs there, Mr. Black.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, but just not the same words. Mr. Black asks, hey guys, with many independent developers making 2D 8-bit games like Undertale and Celeste, do you think there would be any novelty in modern developers making PS2 or Spyro era style games? And then in brackets it says chunkier graphics, older style music and controls, etc. This is a good question, and it's already happening. I follow a YouTuber who I believe is called Cyrides. It's a very difficult word to pronounce. But he started a project that was intended to be a Spyro fan game or a sort of spiritual successor. And he had like recreated all the models. It's rendered in a near identical way. I think he'd used the sound font that's available. That means you can use all the instruments in the music making software, and he'd made all these new Spyro tracks, and it looked really impressive. Like it looked just like a Spyro game. Then he got a cease and desist around the time of Reignited Trilogy. So what he's done basically is just change all the assets to legally different things, and it's now Zera Myths Awaken. It used to be Spyro Myths Awaken. Now it's Zera. And it looks great. And if he ever actually releases the full version, I would definitely play it. At the moment, it's very slow progress because it's just this one guy. But people are already doing it, certainly indie developers. And also, see, I've got this memory, and I tried to research this. Didn't Naughty Dog do some sort of Uncharted thing that had old-style graphics? I've got this memory of this, and I just couldn't find it anywhere, so maybe it's a dream.
I'm not sure. Obviously, Crash was in Uncharted 4, but I don't know. Not in current modern day.
It might not have been official. Maybe it was a fan project. But I'm sure, probably around the time that the fourth game came out, I think there was some kind of like Crash era style Nathan Drake little like level that someone had made or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But the internet is giving me nothing, so I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, because that would help.
Definitely.
But
I would say nostalgia is subjective, but I'd also say, obviously, you've given some examples there, that PS2 and PS1 style games, by today's standards, are sort of largely the same as current games anyway, because they don't need pixel art. They were always trying to be somewhat realistic or the best looking for the time. Pixel art has obviously come a very long way, and while it might not be for everyone, it is sort of like a distinctive style in its own right, and you can do really incredible things with it, or be very minimal at the same time. As with Undertale, it doesn't need a lot for you to understand it, and that's its whole charm. Cartoony or realistic graphics for the PS2, I think have sort of rightfully changed with the times, because it's just sort of a natural evolution of that style. Pixel art is its own thing. It initially existed as a necessity, and then it was brought back for nostalgic reasons, and actually it's just sort of continued to evolve as an art form. Whereas PS2 and PS1 graphics were what they were for the time because they needed to be that, and they just evolved. We didn't just move away from 3D graphics. We've still got them. But I'm interested in this fan project that's being made at the moment. I'm assuming it doesn't look, because when I hear made in the art style of or sort of in the style of PS2 or Spyro era games, all I think is sort of muddy, blurry, textured 3D games. I'm assuming that they are completely, crystal clear, a la being emulated.
Yeah, it's just like emulated Spyro. So the textures are. It's difficult to describe. They're quite high definition, but at the same time, the way they're sort of shaded and coloured, and there's no natural dynamic lighting, for example. That definitely lends to the effect. But yeah, everything's got sharp edges and quite a good resolution. But it's still, I think it's like an emulated PS1 game.
Right. Okay.
It looks like a PS1 game, but it's sharp and crystal clear.
Well, there you go. There you go. Those things do exist.
Yeah, you're right, though. I think there's a limit to it. I think, once you get to PS2, if you just go back to that, it would just look like a not very realistic modern game. It just look like a really bad game in the modern style. But if you go back a little bit further to still 3D, but very cartoony. I mean, like Crash, for example. Like Crash 4 is very nice looking, but I think you could still get away with the kind of stuff that came out back then because it was cartoony, and so I think that's a bit more immortal than, say, the original Shadow of the Colossus, for example. That would just look like, oh, this hasn't been very well made if that was brought out. Not that it's a bad looking game, but it's just as an example.
Yeah, so, I think that one looks pretty good. Something like Metal Gear Solid 1, maybe, with the face textures in that.
A much better example.
Or Final Fantasy 7. They both have very striking scenes, but if someone made a game that looked like that now, I don't know, I would look at it and probably think, I don't know how I feel about this, because I get that it's an art style that you've run with, but there's a reason games don't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to make... Because that was realism for the time. And we've actively gone a lot further. But as you said, if it's cartoony, I think there's scope for nuance there. But as with pixel art, it can and clearly is. It can be and clearly is an art style in its own right, and people will run with it and do really, really impressive things with it and develop it into its own thing. So yeah, that's one to watch. One to see where that goes.
Yeah, something else to watch is the next and final section. It's pretty big. Yeah, it's easy to watch because it's so large. It takes up most of your field of view.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's time for a very, very big discussion.
It's big discussion time. Peter, it's time to talk big talk. Do the big talk.
Do the big talk.
Are you ready to walk the walk after I talk this talk?
Sure. Who's asked a big old question today?
This is Darkstar XCIV, who's very helpfully explained that it's 94. Is that
Thanks.
in Roman numerals? Let's dive in. Hi, Peter and Ben. I've been a long-time lurker from your name redacted days, and I'm glad to finally be able to support you guys here. Thank you very much. My question is this. With The Last of Us Part 2 being spoiled for countless people, you and I included, do you think media platforms like YouTube and Twitch should do more to prevent story spoilers from being visible to their audiences? At least for a week post-launch for games and a few days... Oh, sorry, that's just a sentence. At least for a few... oh God, I'm really struggling, Peter. At least for a week post-launch for games and a few days for other media. I personally was spoiled when I tried to search on YouTube for previous trailers of the game in question to get myself hyped, and was let down by YouTube's ability to show the most searched terms, which showed that spoiler.
Dreadful.
At least on YouTube's end, they should implement the procedures they had in place at the height of misinformation to the C virus. I know that some of the work is on my court to stay away from spoilers, but there should be more effort from sites like YouTube and Twitch to prevent very unfortunate situations like the one you guys experienced on your Minecraft stream the afternoon before the game launched. Yeah, that sucked. I apologize if my question was a bit long. Hope you're both keeping well, and I'd like to thank you for the amazing content that you continue to release into the Google. It truly helps me get up in the morning and know that there's something to look forward to. Yours sincerely, Darkstar94. Thank you, Darkstar.
Doesn't help us get up in the morning. God, we had to start at 9:30 today for this.
For God's sake! Come on.
It's pretty tough life.
Outrageous. I think Darkstar94, you raised some good points there. Very quickly, though, YouTube's priority will always be public safety when they actually do decide to act on something and take a stance.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder they went after false C-virus content. That is to be expected. The problem is, though, everyone has a right to talk about spoilers. They can if they want. It's just a handful of people who aren't necessarily being thoughtless, although I'm sure there are some people who genuinely aren't, thinking about how other people might feel if spoilers pop up. But they are actively, there are a number of people actively maliciously spreading spoilers to ruin things for people. So how does YouTube, in this situation, differentiate and police that on a large scale for each game or movie or book? It's really hard to know what the difference is between people who just want to talk about the end of the game on YouTube and people who are, like in our stream, going around and posting spoilers for the sake of posting spoilers to ruin it for people. How can you tell the difference? How do you begin to police that? It's a really tough situation, and as you say, personal responsibility is key. So everyone just has to be extra vigilant, but it does suck, and it is really hard. Naughty Dog even implemented, and some of you might have seen this, new sort of Twitter systems to block responses to tweets in an effort to curb sort of hatred, really. That was their main goal, which is something that Twitter's been rolling out to a select handful of people. But Naughty Dog got access, so they can stop people from replying to their tweets, which is, obviously a lot of people are going to see those tweets. And if people are going in there and replying with spoilers on purpose, then that's blocked. But it's hard. It's really hard. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think partly it comes down to the sort of infrastructure or like flow through a website. So you talk about Twitter, that, as you say, has just had the reply blocking feature added. But even when you're looking at trends or something like that, you can click on a trend. You might see, for example, The Last of Us Part 2 trending. And I mean, for a start, you shouldn't click on that because, geez, like, why would you do that if you don't know what's happening?
Yeah.
But, and maybe this isn't the case for The Last of Us Part 2, but certainly for, I know movies that have come out recently, you click on the trend, and at the top, it quite often says, as part of the Twitter moment or the trend, warning, this may contain spoilers for, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker or whatever. Which is good, that they've got that there. However, it's not foolproof. Like, certainly, sometimes you see words trending. Like, I think it's definitely okay for me to say now, but like when the Mandalorian had first started, I think I saw Baby Yoda trending like within 12 hours of the episode going out. Now, fortunately, I had not illegally watched the episode early.
Of course.
So I was definitely stung by that spoiler. But that's a difficult thing, because if something is just trending, it's there. And likewise, people say, oh, well, you should just mute certain words on Twitter. But if I don't know to mute Yoda, then people are going to be tweeting, oh my God, the little Yoda creature in that episode was amazing, So, yeah, because sometimes they might not include the word Mandalorian in their tweet. They'll just go, oh my God, episode 1, immediately they put a small Yoda, just as an example. But so Twitter can and can't handle it, depending on, in different ways. YouTube, I don't know, like search box results, that's terrible. I didn't even think that would be a thing. And the way that we were stung, for those who don't know, is that someone came into our chat. I don't even know if their message itself contained a spoiler, but certainly their username contained the spoiler for The Last of Us. Which was the worst thing, because our mods quite rightfully tried to get rid of the message straight away. But then YouTube just said, user spoiler name has just been banned from the channel.
Yeah.
And it still had their name visible.
Everyone can see it still as well, so it's there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, really, I didn't give any answer there. I just said, here are all the problems that we're faced with. And, yeah, it would be nice if there were certain ways in which these things were handled. But it's difficult to, like you say, it's difficult to police. Like, if people are doing videos saying, hey, I've played The Last of Us now, I've finished it, I want to talk about the ending. You can't stop someone doing that.
Yeah.
I guess they should just try and police what comes up as suggested results in the same way that swear words wouldn't come up or certainly not in Google autofill. I don't think it will autofill with swear words. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then you have to wonder where the line is. You might do it for The Last of Us Part 2, but would you do it for Cyberpunk? Would you do it for, Crash Bandicoot 4, for example? Yeah. Spoilers, Crash 4, it's not a thing. So
halfway through, he gets a tribal tattoo.
Yeah.
Crash 4.
Yeah.
It happens. It does happen. It's tricky.
Yeah, it is. It's a really difficult thing, and it would be nice if there was a solution, but I don't know what that solution is.
Yeah. I think we're in an extraordinary time under extraordinary circumstances, especially with The Last of Us Part 2, because of the wider troll backlash that's going on. So many games come out and you don't necessarily want to see the details of the story and certain spoilers and stuff. And I know that there was an aspect that came up for you for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, right? About a character that shows up at some point, and you got that spoiled by a thumbnail. That.
Oh God, I did. I forgot about that.
That sucks. It sucks that happens, but they had every right to post that, and that's. It's just frustrating that you had to see it. It's difficult. But in the case of this game, as I said earlier, people are actively trying to ruin it. It's a narrative-heavy game. It's all about the story and the characters. And people are trying to ruin it for people. So this is a special case. So it's unlikely that we're going to be in a situation, again, for a while, where something so important is actively being ruined. People should still be able to post videos about spoilers, about what happens in the game and them talking about it and stuff. But it's tricky, Hopefully people use common sense and are and are just fair. And sometimes people are thoughtless, and it's not great, but it does happen. They don't think about how it will affect other people. But in this instance, people are trying to ruin it. And that's very hard to, as I said, it's very hard to differentiate between, on YouTube's part at least. And as you said, where do you stop? You know, what constitutes a spoiler? How do you know about that ahead of time? Is there going to be another situation like this where there is a brigade of people trying to absolutely wreck this game's reputation and prevent people from playing it by ruining it for them? You know, is that going to happen again? I don't know. I hope not, and I hope this starts to die down as time passes as well. But it's really hard. It's really hard to prevent against, and you do just sort of, to an extent, you do sort of have to stick your head in the sand and put your fingers in your ears until you can experience whatever it is that you don't want spoiled for you yourself. And that's hard, but it's just the nature of the internet.
Yeah. It baffles me that these people exist, though. Like trying to imagine the person behind the keyboard who came into our chat and what they thought they were doing, and the fact that they got pleasure out of that they thought, I'm going to put my name, Snape kills Dumbledore, and I'm going to go into that chat and just see what happens and laugh and have a great time. And then I'm going to get banned because I know they'll have mods. And then I'll go to another one. Yep. I'm sure they were just doing the rounds, doing chats.
Just hopping between. It's astonishing. And remember, these are the same people that are signing these petitions to change the story. They don't deserve to have a voice in this. They don't. I know what I said earlier about them, having an opinion and stuff, but they don't deserve to have a voice. They wrecked that for themselves when they went around trying to ruin it for people. You don't deserve to have things changed for you. No way.
Yeah.
Dicks, bunch of dicks. But it's hard. It's hard to exist on the internet when there are spoilers. You just got to be careful. You just got to be really careful and try and play or experience this game as soon as possible. And hopefully there aren't any other narrative-heavy games that come out that have a similar level of hatred leveled at them, where people are making it very difficult to exist online outside of the usual, hey, I just finished this game, let's talk about it.
Yeah, and that's where it would get difficult if there was some kind of thing that YouTube was implementing for cases like The Last of Us Part 2. If a new game came out that was, had almost as much hatred or was almost as significant a game or had almost as major a spoiler, where's the line? It's really tricky. So yeah, I don't know how really it will ever be policed in a faultless way.
Yeah, so. Avengers did a really good job. I don't know if you saw that, not the film obviously, but if you saw what they did. I
saw that there were a lot of the cast were doing like video like VT pieces that were going around saying, hey, don't spoil it and stuff like that.
They set like a 1 week period after launch where I think they had most of them in character, and there were loads of PSAs and stuff just saying, hey, there's this 1 week period where nobody talks spoilers. We're all agreed, right? Of course it didn't stop people talking spoilers, but that goes a long way with an audience. It really does. I feel like in this case, Naughty Dog, they couldn't have done that because the people who were going to spoil it were going to spoil it because they don't care. But that was a really good idea, and I think that went a long way because I didn't see any spoilers. I didn't hear any spoilers. I was being very careful anyway, but I managed to avoid all the spoilers going into that film, and I watched it fresh like 2 weeks after it came out.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even get to the flipping release of The Last of Us Part 2 without having it ruined. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. I hope that helps. As I said earlier, I just want to talk about the positives of this game now, which I will from next week. I needed to get that off my chest, and I'm glad that Darkstar asked a question that allowed us to discuss spoiler culture a little bit further as well, in a bit more depth. But it's a really good game, so please play it, and I'm sure many of you are and are actively enjoying it currently.
Today's sponsor should have been The Last of Us Part 2, I think.
You think?
It's a
the
high
actual
recommendation
game?
There. Yeah.
Wow.
Highly recommended by
people might have thought we were joking.
Yeah.
Taking the piss.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, Peter, if trolls want to shout at us in the comments for some reason, I don't know why, where would they be able to do that?
They can come and ruin our streams at youtube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. Obviously, we also have videos going out on YouTube too. But when we do stream on both of those channels, we're modded by Lord Brotovich and Cecil Prumps, who do an excellent job of making it difficult for a-holes like you. Or not you.
No, just the trolls. Just the trolls.
Them. We've got social media, Twitter and Facebook.com/Team TripleJump. Facebook is looked after by Luke Eldon, who will also stop bad things happening over there. We've got a Patreon, patreon.com/Team TripleJump. You can, there's all kinds of tiers, which will give you all kinds of rewards. Ask questions on this podcast, worst games ever 2 days early, or indeed go to an exclusive room in our Discord. And that Discord is bit.ly/Team TripleJump. And that is modded by Jack and Joe, also doing a great job. The audio version of this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, is available at play.acast.com/s/TripleJump. We've got a website, triplej.merp. No career opportunities right now, but always keep an eye on it. And finally, all of our live stream VODs go onto triplej.merp/VODs, which redirects to our new VODs YouTube channel.
If you'd like to follow Peter on Instagram, you can do at @PeterAustin and on Twitter at @PeterAustin. You can follow me on Twitter at @confused_dude. We do lists every Tuesday and Thursday, streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Thursday being the joint stream, Blaze It on YouTube, and all the other days, they're solo streams on Twitch. Yeah. Worst games ever. It's fortnightly. Friday for patrons of a certain tier. Sunday for everyone else. It is a Worst Games Ever week. Hope you enjoy it, everybody. Podcast is every Saturday. We've also got some new little tidbits and shows and things that we're going to sprinkle around every so often. Hey, this week, Peter, we had a Quipscope for the SpongeBob game. If people want to go watch that, and you can do, hear all about it. And also, we're very excited to announce that TripleJump is expanding.
It certainly is. TripleJump is changing for the better.
Yeah, we would like to offer a very warm welcome. I'm assuming they listen to this podcast, otherwise they're fired already. Liam and Alex will be joining the team full-time in a video editor capacity, which is obviously going to mean that we can make more stuff for you. So TripleJump is changing, but it's growing.
It's changing in a bigger way. It's changing from medium-sized to slightly less medium-sized.
Exactly. There are 4 of us now, full-time, and obviously we'd like to extend a huge thank you to all of our freelancers, both writers and video editors, and also all the people who chip in and support the channel in their spare time, all our mods, all the people we thanked a minute ago. So thank you, all of you, for getting us to where we are now.
Also, James, who was sort of left out a bit there when you said there are 4 full-timers now.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't including myself, I think. That's the problem.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You and 4 others. Yeah.
James, the senior video editor.
Oh!
Yeah, check out that boy. James doesn't listen to this podcast. It's fine. We're going to get an angry text from him in a minute, I imagine. Yeah, sorry, James. I didn't pretend you didn't exist. I just didn't count myself in the total. There are 5 of us now.
You pretended you didn't exist.
Yeah, I did. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. We started really early today. I wasn't ready for it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please leave a review on iTunes or your platform of choice. It helps something to do with algorithms. Today's sponsor. It's a new DLC for Dark Souls. It's called Stark Souls. It's a very clever joke, and you can all clap in the comments. Clap. Go on, clap. Also, be careful in the comments if you're on YouTube. Oh, yeah, look at that. Be careful in the comments, everyone. I poked the trolls. They might be out in force. Have a good day. Bye, everyone. Bye.
You have to be careful not to clap too loud on audio, because it can be really spiky.
It can.